Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for attending our weekly Meet the Sponsors seminar. We've got a number of people still signing in, so have a little patience. We'll get started in about 60 seconds. Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dan Summers. I'm the CEO of Realty eVest, located here in Jacksonville, Florida. We're a crowdsourcing company. And today I'm excited to bring to you the Quail House, located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Two of the sponsors, Justin Knorr and Kittle, are going to be speaking today regarding the Quail House. And yes, there was Heidi Klum in the email we sent around. And yes, one of those blue men were in fact Nick Kittle. Let me spend a minute about Realty eVest and our platform. So when indeed you go to pledge and invest into the Quail House, you'll see how easy and simple and seamless the process is. Ours is an online investment platform, and we've strived to create the technology to make the investing simple, seamless, and transparent. Everything you need to make the investment is there on the site. For the Quail House, you'll see the business plan, the biographies, photographs, site plans, renovation budgets, etc. Everything you need to make a prudent business decision is there. The other opportunity on our site and our technology, it allows you to direct your own portfolio. You can mix your investment criteria with a debt program, an equity program, a short-term program, a longer-term program. Depends if you're investing with your self-directed IRA, 401k, or just your long-term capital gains. Our experienced sponsors are very well vetted. We find that the sponsors are as critical to the equation as the real estate investment opportunity, as is the community. When you get a chance to listen to Nick and Justin, they'll spend a few minutes giving you their background, etc. The other opportunity with crowdsourcing like Realty eVest is that we give you a greater pool of opportunities, not just a singular deal. So you'll see a relatively buffet of opportunities from multifamily to residential assisted living to single family homes to office buildings, etc. So you can spread your capital and your risk over a number of opportunities, and equally as important, you're investing shoulder to shoulder with other investors to mitigate that risk. One of the key components to our success is that we do indeed put our money where our mouth is. We invest corporately and personally into every single deal that we host on our site. So you know darn well that we've done a lot of due diligence and drilled down very deep into these deals. Last but not least is there's no investor fees. The entire expense is borne by the sponsors themselves. So much unlike a lot of the larger institutional investment advisors where they do indeed charge fees, and frankly, they're the ones driving the Rolls Royces and living in Palm Springs while we're not, and they're our capital. So at the end of the day, we're very conscientious about the fee structures that we charge, of which there isn't any at the investor level. We're having a little bit of streaming issues at this end, so bear with me, please. Sorry, folks, but once again, we're having some weather issues here in Jacksonville. It's creating a little bit of a streaming difficulty. But in any event, let's power through this. No issues. Let's talk about the Quail House, why we really enjoyed this opportunity. One of the structures, financial structures that we've created internally is not only a debt structure, but also with a potential profit participation. So on the Quail House, you'll see that the offering is a first lien secured investment along with a 10% profits participation. What that breaks down to, frankly, is that you'll be paid in advance quarterly, 10% on the capital you invest. And then at the end of the transaction, when the profit is realized, you'll participate in 10% of that profit. So it's a relatively unheard investment vehicle that we created internally and get a lot of traction with our self-directed IRAs and individual investors. We've got tremendous talent on the sponsor level. Rosie Womack alone is going to be the head administrator, and she alone has 32 years as an industry veteran and a former Nevada State Assemblyman. The high demand and low inventory is rather compelling. There's approximately 30% of the newcomers that move to Las Vegas are senior citizens and are already joining a population of 17% of Clark County, which is where the Quail House is already 60 years old and older. There's been a recent market research study, and it shows that a majority of the residential memory care facilities in Las Vegas are full and have a long waiting list, which makes this potential investment a serious investment and one that you should give some serious consideration to. The prime location, the asset itself is draping with decadence. It's in a very high-end neighborhood. In fact, interesting enough, it's very close to Wayne Newton's estate and down the street from McCarran International Airport. And it also gives quick and easy access to hospitals and highways. With that being said, I'm going to move that to the next one. I'd like to introduce Justin Knorr and Nick Kittle. While we're getting into this next section of the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box, and we'll address them while the webinar is proceeding, and if not, at the very tail end. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn this webinar over to Nick and Justin.
Thanks, Dan, and thanks to everyone else here today. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about us, what we do, and the amazing opportunity we've put together to provide seniors with dignified accommodations and to provide a great return for all of you, our investors. Can everybody hear me, just to clarify? Good. My name is Justin Knorr. Together with Nick Kittle and Carolyn Matthews, we formed National Platinum Group with the sole purpose of owning and operating assisted living homes in the Las Vegas area. As for me, I graduated from the University of Michigan with a degree in biopsychology, and since then I've been leading teams in the hospitality industry for about 14 years. I've overseen and managed personnel and handled operations and certifications of buildings and facilities at the state, city, and county levels. And this ties in well with our project, as this is my function within our team. I seek out houses, oversee renovations, make sure they're up to code for our needs, and run all financial projections and returns for given projects. Also on our team is Carolyn Matthews. Carolyn has over 35 years of experience as a business strategic marketing and management consultant. She is a best-selling author and specializes in marketing and sales, both before and after opening our homes. Basically, I build out the homes and she fills them with residents. In between these two steps, Nick Kittle, who's here with us today, inserts our assisted living business.
All right, so I'm often asked how I went from being a blue man to an owner operator of assisted living facilities. And my love and appreciation for the elderly actually started from a young age. I was a skinny 10-year-old boy. I would tour the local group homes with my grandfather and his barbershop quartet. And while they sang, I would tap dance, and the seniors would go nuts. And it was an incredible experience. Fast forward 20 years, and a mentor of mine had had some success with residential assisted living homes. And he suggested that I look into it. And when I did, I was simultaneously excited and appalled. I was excited about the prospect of working with seniors again and providing them with some amazing dignified accommodations. However, after touring some of the many group homes here, I was appalled by the small, cramped, rather dingy environments. It then became my mission to raise the bar on the industry by creating a home that I would be more than happy to place my loved ones in. So over the past few years, I've closely studied the assisted living industry within my city and abroad. I've expanded my professional network and built a very strong management team. In the process, I've become a certified caregiver and medication technician myself via the ABBA Learning Center here in Las Vegas. Which brings me to our powerhouse management team, Rosemary Womack. As Dan mentioned, she's a 32-year assisted living industry veteran and former Nevada State Assemblywoman. And she has come on board as our administrator and staff trainer. We're very excited about that. Rosie also happens to be the owner and lead instructor at the ABBA Learning Center, which is how we met. She was the head instructor statewide for caregivers and med techs. So she will be assisting me with the hiring, training, day-to-day operations, and most importantly, keeping the home and business compliant with state and federal rules and regulations. And she has brought to the team her protege, Tasha Freeman, to be our lead med tech / caregiver. Tasha is a licensed practical nurse, LPN, and having an in-house nurse is a huge benefit that will allow us to perform resident assessments, staff physicals, and tuberculosis testing within the home. Lastly, I'd like to quickly mention our advisory panel. Gene Guarino is the CEO and founder of the residential assisted living facility. He's got 35 years experience in this business. Also, Tim Bismeyer is a business consultant with a couple decades of experience in assisted living. Toby Mathis is our tax and assets advisor. And lastly, Mauricio Rald is going to be our securities counsel.
Now, the home we've selected for this project is on Quail Avenue, and as Dan mentioned, is a stone's throw away from Wayne Newton's Casa de Shenandoah and less than 2 miles away from the world-famous Las Vegas Strip. The house itself sits in a nice, quiet neighborhood and on almost a full acre, and already has a large enough footprint that no addition will be needed. We will, however, be renovating the 4-car garage, an office, and a study to bring our bedroom count to 10 and our bathroom count to 12. One feature that will make this home unique in the Las Vegas residential assisted living market is that this will be the only one in the entire Vegas Valley that has private bathrooms for each bedroom. Excuse me. Now, this is big. Normal accommodations include shared bathrooms. At the Quail House, our private bathrooms, including showers, will provide a level of privacy and dignity simply not found here. As you look at the photos of the house, notice that there's a casita toward the back of the property. Now, we intend to use this as either housing for live-in caregivers, reducing our overhead, or as a place where families can stay while visiting their loved ones from out of town. Also, as you may notice, the amount of free roof space on the main house is, well, there's a lot of it. We have an investor on board already that is looking to cover the house in solar panels, helping to reduce our overhead by up to $1,000 a month. One additional feature of the home is that we employ a private chef. Surveys have shown that both the variety and quality of food choices are among the most important features a home can offer. Our chef will not only provide compelling and nutritious meals, but will include recipes the residents themselves bring into the home. This helps residents to feel a sense of pride, staving off learned helplessness, and providing a happier and more home-like environment. So what are we? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, let's talk about this Las Vegas market. So Nevada is one of the most business-friendly states due to its favorable tax code. As we are all aware, the economy is driven by tourism, gaming, and the convention industry. In 2016, Southern Nevada recorded a record high 42.9 million visitors, equating to $33.7 billion in revenue. If there's one thing Vegas does right, it's hospitality, and we aim to exhibit a comparable level of service, 5-star service in our homes. Vegas is expecting its first 2 pro sports teams, the Vegas Golden Knights NHL hockey team, to start this fall, and the Oakland Raiders will be relocating here to play once construction is completed on a new stadium. We're anticipating a kickoff of 2019. These two additions will definitely jumpstart our economy even more, and maybe we'll regain the crown for the fastest growing city in the U.S. As Dan mentioned, there's a high demand and low supply for residential group homes in Las Vegas, especially quality group homes. As I mentioned earlier, I've seen what not to do. We're really looking to set a new standard here in elderly accommodations. As Dan mentioned as well, there's a huge trend. We're facing the largest demographic this world has ever seen. The baby boomers are aging out at a rapid pace. The over 65 population is expected to double in the U.S. by 2040. Vegas is a great location because it is such a favorable retirement destination due to the warm, sunny weather, gaming, five-star dining, and entertainment. Our market research has shown that the majority of residential group homes are full with waiting lists. The larger facilities sit at 85 to 90% occupancy. As I mentioned in my opening, while there is a lack of quality accommodations, but especially the type of accommodations that appeal to a more affluent, private pay demographic, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
So what are we, through Realty eVest, offering to you, our investors? We're raising $1.23 million, representing a 70% loan to value of the overall project. This 24-month loan will be secured, as Dan mentioned again, by a first position lien. Your investment in our project will provide for you a 10% annualized return and your principal returned in 2 years. Additionally, we're offering a 10% profit share payable upon refinancing the loan. The Quail House will be renovated over the course of 3 months, and upon completion and inspection will be filled with residents. We're projecting our census to be full in month 9 after the start of renovations. We will then season our income stream over the following 12-month period and put into place long-term financing, allowing us to repay our investors.
All right, so now's the time to put the infrastructure in place to greet this venerable population with open arms. We're very excited. Thanks for listening today, everybody. And now I'd like to open it up for questions.
I've got a question. Question number one, Justin and Nick, is can you expand a little bit on the renovations of the property?
Much of the house is already set for our needs. It's such a large home that many of the spaces are just big enough to accommodate us for our needs. That said, we are going to be adding bedrooms. There's a 4-car garage that is going to be renovated. Its floor brought up to the level of the home, and then we're going to add an individual bathroom in each one of the bedrooms. That's to account for 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms in the garages. Additionally, there is a large study and a large office that are going to be renovated to be a bedroom and bathroom each. As I mentioned, that will bring our total bedroom count up to 10 and our total bathroom count up to 12, 10 of which will be associated with individual bedrooms and then 2 of which will be public.
Excellent. I've got another question. What's included in the monthly rent, and what are you projecting the monthly rent to be per bed or bedroom, that is?
Our monthly rate is going to be $6,500. This is an average. Some of the rooms are bigger, some of them are smaller. Our average room rate is going to be $6,500. As far as what's going to be included, it's going to be an all-inclusive scenario. Many of the homes around the area kind of do an a la carte. Oh, you need incontinence care? That's an additional fee. We don't have that. We are all-inclusive so that our residents know what they're getting themselves into and what bill to expect upfront.
Yeah, a lot of the other facilities, especially the larger facilities, have some convoluted pricing that is really overwhelming for the families and their guests. Is our goal to have an all-inclusive price that's just easy to understand. The only thing that may be extra is if they are interested in spa services. So we're going to have folks coming in to give some of those spa services, hair, nails, what have you. Masseuse, we'll also have masseuses available. Physical therapy, some of those things are going to be, the residents will be responsible for. But other than that, anything that we're responsible for, the care, the food, you name it, is all included in the price.
So I read that a majority of the residential memory care facilities in Vegas are full and have a long waiting list. Have you guys done anything in terms of pre-marketing this? And if so, what's the temperature been like as far as future tenants?
To be honest, we have not yet. Our intention is to start that once we close on the home come November 1st. So we've got a little time yet, but it's certainly on our radar, and we intend to have a waiting list ourselves. Honestly, we'll start taking deposits, and the great thing is we're not doing any. We can have tours of the home during construction, if so desired. So our intention is to have a residence lined up prior to our opening.
Good. Next question. What are the financial criteria you have for new residents, and what sources of funding will you be looking at for this this new tenant? I suspect he's asking, is this going to be considered, Medicare, Medicaid, insurance proceeds, et cetera? So I guess the question is, what financial criteria do you want to see from the prospective tenants?
Of course, great question. This will be a private pay home, so we will not be accepting Medicaid, but we will be interviewing the residents and their families to see if there's any long-term care insurance in place, or veterans benefits can be a great help to seniors ameliorate their monthly costs. But no, we will be vetting the residents and the families very closely. Rosie, in particular, our administrator, is very familiar with this, so there will be she will be handling that process herself. However, we will also have in our contracts with the residents contingencies on prorated rents if someone comes in, has to leave expediently, or if they are unable to meet their financial responsibilities, we will be able to provide safe transfer to another partnering home.
Very good. Next question is, are any of these rooms double occupancy? And if so, how do you charge for that?
So we have one room that is a massive master suite. That's one that we would certainly consider for double occupancy. As far as how that goes, that's kind of a room and a half rate. So you can't really charge double for a double occupancy room. However, that second resident in the room is going to need the same services that the first one does. So we charge for a room and a half at that point. Our master suite, we haven't set the price as a concrete price yet, but it's going to be higher than our average by far. So say that's $10,000 for a month. Then if there are two residents in there, say a couple move in, then it would be $15,000.
Got it. Looks like we have one last question. It has to do with your marketing strategy to start ramping up the occupancy, and when does it kick in?
As I mentioned, the marketing is going to start upon closing on the home, and that's going to be a joint effort between myself. I'm going to be in charge of we'll call it terrestrial marketing, so I'm going to be hitting the ground running, and I've already had some meetings with heads of hospitals who can provide us with referrals. Obviously, other group homes that are full, we're going to form some relationships with them so that we can share residents as needed. Our partner CJ is a marketing guru, so she's going to handle the website, the digital funnel, if you will, Facebook ads, everything because really a big part of our marketing is we're appealing to the families, right? And the families are very tech savvy. So that's one place a lot of the existing facilities fall short, is they don't have a lot of web presence, websites, social media. So we'll be attacking that and really utilizing that to our benefits. And then also Rosie, after 32 years, is very well connected, and she has a lot of ideas as well for marketing. Excellent.
Another question just came in, and I was involved with the due diligence of your asset, and I remember discussing at length with you, Justin, and Nick regarding comparable sales, comparable income, etc. So one of our listeners had asked, in your documentation, do you provide comparison of other similar facilities from your competitors? And can you tell us what would differentiate you from the others? So I guess question number one is, can you send over to us, so we'll put it up on our site so all the listeners can review that, a list of the comparable or your competition in the market. And second of all, broach the idea of the differentiation between your site, your facility and other facilities in the market.
Of course. So actually in our business plan, which is on the site, we do have market comps. So you can check that out. And then as for differentiation, we are certainly, as I mentioned, setting a new standard in accommodations. So this will be, there are other homes, residential group homes, just for clarification, residential group homes have to have 10 residents or less. As soon as you go above 10, you go commercial, and it involves a commercial kitchen. There's a whole slew of other issues involved, as long as you're 10 and under your residential. So as far as other residential group homes are concerned, there are similarly priced homes in terms of resident monthly rents, which gives us a platform to stand on, so we know where we can safely start our rates at. The thing that certainly differentiates us from the other residential group homes is the quality of the home. The home is 6,500 square feet before renovations. There's a lot of common spaces. It's very comfortable, very high-end, luxurious living. The private rooms with private baths, as Justin mentioned, is unheard of. So we're really trying to extend the privacy, security, dignity that these folks are accustomed to in their everyday lives. So we want it to be a natural transition from their homes to our home. So the private rooms, private baths is a huge benefit. The private chef, I'm not aware of any other residential group home that has a private chef. We do intend to have a beautiful organic garden in the back that the residents can work in to get exercise and some fulfillment that way. So people will be eating from their own organic garden. Just a lot of perks like that. I'm a musician, so we've got this great stage in the back by the pool. So live music's going to be really just ever present in our home, which I'm really excited about bringing to the residents. So that's what differentiates us from the other residential group homes. As far as the facilities, certainly they're a competitor as well. What we're offering is a home-like residential setting, somewhere that someone can commiserate with. They're used to it. It's comfy. It's small. Residents, especially those stricken with dementia, get frustrated, and they have a level of agitation with large spaces and large groups and multiple caregivers coming and going that they're not familiar with. So we're offering the opposite of that. We're offering a home that's extremely comfortable, warm, inviting, and a very high caregiver to resident ratio, so that there's just a high level of intimate, personalized care. What we're going for is resident-centric care. A lot of the facilities are more concerned with cleanability than comfortability, and it's our goal to make everything we do revolve around the residents. Resident-centric care is kind of becoming a tagline, but not too many folks are delivering on it. So it's really our intention to work closely with Rosie Womack, who's a big proponent of that, to make that a reality. The other thing with the larger facilities, as we mentioned, is they have that exorbitant, really convoluted pricing system that always, they lure in residents and their families with low monthly rents, but then they just surprise them with all these a la carte add-ons, especially as related to level of care. So as someone ages, their level of care increases, as does the price. So I think one of the big perks of our home is we're all inclusive, no surprise pricing, which is a huge benefit. Yeah, so I think that pretty much sums it up.
One last question, and then a couple of observations from my end.
Sure.
Someone just asked, what is the most severe disability you'll accept for any resident? I know this is a residential assisted living facility environment, so I know that you don't want to, bring in anyone that has any advanced memory issues or what have you, but perhaps you could broach the subject as to what that breaking point is, that tipping point of disability that you will not accept.
Really, the only tipping point, honestly, is medical related. We're a non-medical home, so we're not allowed to administer really anything medical. So in those regards, that's our one. We're fettered with those rules and regulations. However, if the resident enjoys where they live, they're more than welcome, and we can help them bring in hospice and in-home healthcare. So a resident doesn't have to leave once they reach a critical, medical or mental condition. We can bring in the appropriate care for them so that they can stay in our home. Also, we're going to go above and beyond with our caregivers are all going to be CNAs, certified nursing assistants, which is not required and is certainly not common with the majority of the residential group homes. So their expertise will allow us to care for and engage some more advanced seniors. As far as dementia, Alzheimer's, we're completely open to those individuals as well. I think the other thing that you mentioned is it's an intimate environment. So obviously, if someone became a little unruly, we would have to deal with that. If it was becoming an issue that it was affecting the other residents, we would certainly have to address that. But we find that also, oftentimes with dementia residents, it's just unmet needs, and usually biological. They're hungry, they're thirsty, they're tired. So it's our goal to make a benevolent interpretation of their behaviors and not reach for the medicine cabinet or call a doctor to medicate them. I think that's, unfortunately, these homes have a bad rap because you walk into so many of them and the residents are slumped over in their chairs as vegetables. So usually that's the case because they're over medicated. So we're going to be training our staff to really look closely at the context, but also describing to the residents who can sometimes be confused as to what's going on, why we're administering certain care, so that they're comfortable. There's no, there's a less behavioral issues. But really, our home is open to just about anybody. It's just it depends really what level of medical care they need, and then we're happy to provide that via outside sources if need be.
Well, speaking of the care, will any of your staff be involved with any of the dispensation of medications, pills, what have you?
Yep, we're going to have a medication technician. That's one of the big perks of these homes because obviously we're helping with ADLs, which are activities of daily living. So laundry, cleaning, bathing, feeding, and cooking, what have you. But really, a lot of these seniors are on a lot of meds, so it's hard to keep those straight. So we have a med tech who's going to be on staff administering these medications 2 to 3 times a day based on the needs of the residents.
Excellent. Couple last observations. We've had a good turnout today for the webinar, and a number of the folks had asked if we could facilitate a conference call with either of the sponsors or all the sponsors just for some one-on-one conversation and some questions.
Of course, more than open to it.
Excellent. Well, I'll attest to the fact that the house is gorgeous. We have a drone video of the property, not only the house, but it's basically a mini estate. It's gorgeous. That's on the site for everyone to view. And lastly, I get to Vegas, and we have a lot of participants in today's webinar from the Las Vegas market. And if they so elected, would they be able to perhaps meet with you out in Vegas or take a look at the house while they're in Vegas? Is that possible?
Yeah, we could probably arrange something. We've certainly we're more than happy to meet with anybody. We've put a little stress, to be honest, on the sellers walking through with contractors and subcontractors, as you can imagine, getting quotes and estimates on work. So we don't want to put too much more burden on them, but we're happy at least to drive by if we can't get inside and show you around. But I think, you know, we've got many more pictures that are not up on the website that we can show you. Some additional drone footage. Speaking, Dan, if I may toot my own horn, on that drone footage, that song you hear is my band that I play with here in Vegas. So if you guys enjoy that, let me know.
Well done.
But yeah, so we're more than happy to meet anybody and everybody. So.
Well, this was a fun 37 minutes. We had a terrific outpour of people listening. If anyone has any questions, feel free to call me direct. And if you'd like, I can get one or all the sponsors on the conference call. This is going to be a deal we're looking to close up very quickly. It's in a very dynamic market, needless to say, Las Vegas, with some very dynamic sponsors and a dynamic piece of real estate. So thanks, guys, for your time. Well done, well presented. And once again, you feel free to reach out to me directly, Dan Summers at realtyevest.com, or my personal cell phone number is right there, 904-501-7693. Thanks much.